Good evening, guys, and welcome to the community's live Q&A. I'm excited to have you here. If you're new to the community, welcome. Every Thursday we do live Q&A, meaning I post that graphic, got a question, get an answer, you post the question, and then I will answer your questions here. Okay? So, thank you again for being a part of the community, guys, for supporting each other and for showing up the way you do, because that's what makes this community different from others and allows us each to succeed and to have some fun, break free, and, connect back to happiness. So, we got 4 questions today in our little question box, so I'm going to just expand it here. First one is I'm dealing with anger about being made into the bad guy. This is a pretty common thing to be angry about, guys. We have been made the scapegoat or the black sheep or the problem when we have, held them accountable for their behaviors. We have pushed back or resisted their judgments. We've advocated for ourselves. We've stood up for ourselves. This will typically get the anger and the vile of the narcissist or abuser against us because they don't want to be held accountable, and so they switch it around on us. So it's pretty common to feel that kind of anger. It's normal. What you want to do is you got to validate anger. Anger has 2 purposes. It's signaling the breach of a boundary, and it's telling us we have an unmet need. When we start getting that unmet need met and we start validating the existence and the legitimacy of our emotions, the legitimacy or validity of our pain, that anger is going to go away and we're going to become more assertive. So think of it kind of like a staircase. So you've got grief and depression and fawning, and then you get angry, and then you become aggressive, and then you become assertive, then you become confident. And that staircase works as we validate our emotions and we value them. We value our pain. We value what's going on for us. That allows us to break free and to connect back with ourselves, back with the validity of our experience. And thus we can advocate for ourselves, execute boundaries, and be a little happier in our lives. So that also goes with dealing with any kind of gaslighting that we may have experienced. We need to believe ourselves. We need to believe our experience, believe our feelings, believe what we understand, what we remember. Let ourselves have that genuine experience. A lot of times, because of the gaslighting, we'll have this sense of fog, this cloudiness about what was really going on. And that's because our brain is experiencing what's called cognitive dissonance. It's basically where we have 2 competing things that cannot be true at the same time. And so that creates fawning or a stress response in the brain, and we'll just agree with the person so we don't get attacked. So, hi guys. Hi Terry. Hi Julie. And so we want to be really mindful that our brain, if we're feeling that fog when we're dealing with a situation like we've been made the bad guy or people have been invalidating us, blaming us for their behavior, getting upset with us for holding them accountable, we're just dealing with cognitive dissonance there, and that's where that brain fog comes from. The way we resolve that is we believe our experience. We trust our pain. We trust what we have gone through, and we legitimize it. Now, if you're a member of Codependency Confidence, in the tools section, there is a tool called the Sane Maker, and that will do an enormous amount of validation for you about your experience, and then you combine that with the anger validators, and you're going to move through that strong and quickly. All right, next question we have is, what are best practices in soothing myself from a recent relationship breakup? And I asked a question to Greg about his own experience in that, and he replied that he felt discarded. He felt like he'd been thrown away. You want to validate that feeling. You want to say, okay, I feel like I was thrown away in this relationship. I feel like I didn't matter. Honor that, because underneath that's going to be any pain that's there, and it's going to help resolve, again, that cognitive dissonance you might be dealing with that keeps you kind of stuck in it. Also, give yourself a chance to just acknowledge that what you're going through sucks. Breakups are awful. They're not fun. And they tend to activate a lot of our unmet needs, especially if we've been neglected in our childhood, teen years, If we've gone through a parental discard, a lot of that can become really intensified for us. So we want to honor that. And honor that anger you feel about what you've experienced by using the anger validators in Codependency Confidence. And you can find them in the Daily Discovery PDF. If you're in HEAL, they're in Step 1, emotional validators. Boom, you'll have several of them there. But outside of that, if you're not in Codependency Confidence, hey, you can join it. But if you're not, you can also give yourself permission to be angry. Say, if I could, would I approve of and accept that I'm angry about this experience? And if I could do that, when would I do that? That right there can get you a lot of flow with getting some validation. Another thing you can do is you can say, if I could, would I validate and appreciate the validity of my anger? That I have the right to be angry about what I've gone through because I'm hurting. And if I could do that, when would I do that? The more we give permission to ourselves to have the feelings we have, the more we become connected with who we are, connected with our boundaries, connected with our brilliance and our wisdom, and we can make more effective decisions about what's going on for us. Another thing to do in helping soothe this, especially with breakups and losses, guys, is to use the regulation approach, like touch regulation. You can find that, it's linked everywhere in the group. Or if you've got access to Calm, you can use the DRP, the Daily Regulation Practice, to help you manage that. But another thing that really, really works, and it might feel a little silly doing this, but it works, find yourself a plushie, like a toy, a plushie soft toy or a blanket or something, and cradle it. Hold it. Hold it tight. What that's going to do, it's going to help your body feel safe. It's going to feel like, ooh, I'm being held and protected, and I'm okay. I can cry. I've just got this soft space to land here. It gives us an internal experience of being cared for. So it can be a very, very effective regulator there. Okay? So those are some best practices with that. Give yourself time. You're going to grieve. With breakups or losses or being discarded, we're grieving the loss of what we thought was possible. We are grieving the loss of who we thought they were. We're having to deal with the fact that this person didn't show up as we thought they would be. Our fantasy is collapsing. We're having to deal with reality. And that can be a fairly, brutal experience depending on what's going on for us. So have a lot of compassion for yourself there. Okay, so third question. I feel self-conscious and maybe they're staring at me and judging me. Maybe I just need some insights on this. So this is about staring male authority in the eyes, right? Making eye contact. You're dealing with a fawn response in this. This is where your brain's like, male authorities attacked me in the past. I need to fawn and acquiesce, and I will avoid the eye contact so I don't create an unnecessary provocation. It's pretty instinctual response to feeling like they may be a threat to you. Don't question yourself as to whether or not they're a threat. What you want to do is go, okay, I feel like they may be a threat. What else is possible? And then identify if that particular individual is a threat. And you can do that by looking at the patterns of their behavior. That's all that matters, not the words that come out of their mouth. Patterns of behavior. Have they been threatening? Have they harmed you? When was that? That kind of thing. Validate your understanding of that person. And what this does is it takes you out of the all or nothing contextual thinking going on and trains your brain to go, oh, this person's safe and that person's not. And it starts to fine-tune your awareness so you can start detecting safe people based on their behaviors and unsafe people based on their behaviors. Further, go into Calm, get access to the DRP, the Daily Regulation Practice, and start regulating while you think about staring people in the eyes. Give yourself a chance to change your emotional relationship to that. That can do a lot of good for you. Now, if you have trauma with male authority where they have physically, emotionally, spiritually, or otherwise harmed you, then you're going to want to look at getting closure on that. And we can do that through the Get Closure Now program that launches here. Our next one starts here in January. So we've got a little time, but you can get on the wait list there and we can knock that out. That's a pretty common trauma, so we can eliminate that. It is, as you heal, as you become more anchored in your value and in your safety, you're going to start meeting people eye to eye, and you're going to start advocating for yourself. So that's something you can look forward to as you go through Codependency Confidence. Okay. So how does one combat the idea that everyone around them is better off without them? We're dealing with black and white thinking, number one. Two, we're making assumptions about what other people think and feel rather than actually getting to know what that person thinks and feels. And three, we're judging ourselves as a burden based on our previous experiences from toxic, abusive, and completely and utterly unreliable people. We have to stop believing the messages we hear from toxic people and start believing our pain. Start believing ourselves. And it's like, hey, yeah, I wasn't the problem. I didn't abuse me. I didn't cause this. I'm not the cause. I can't control it, and I'm not the cure. I don't have to. These are not things I can do, right? When we start to really validate that and really honor our value, then we can stop projecting onto other people our shame and start releasing it in us. That's really what has to happen there. When we feel like we're a burden, then we feel like we're shameful. This feeling of being a burden comes from shame. It's like, I take up space and I'm bad for it. No, you're not. You're not bad because you make mistakes. You're not bad because you exist. You're not bad because you have feelings. You're not bad because shit happens in life. You're not bad. You've been fed messages that make you think you're bad, but now you got to question those sources and realize that you've been absorbing their lies as a truth and then living according to it. So you don't really combat the idea that everybody is better off with you not being around. It's that you don't have any business telling other people what they would or wouldn't be if you were around or not. You need to allow people to show up as they are and choose you, and then you need to work out your self-value, right? And shed that shame and start to discover your own worth, your own value, and heal from that abandonment and betrayal trauma you're dealing with, because that's where that comes from. So, as well, okay, yeah, that is it. Those are the 4 questions we had today. Let me know what you guys think about these answers. I hope they contribute to your life, that they help you get the guidance you're looking for. If not, let me know, and I can give you more clarity through posts in the community. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Marshall's Minute before we conclude for the weekend. Okay? You guys have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.